Jessica, you want to do a roll call?
Dewar,
Here.
Freilich,
Here.
Hirschman, Yankton, Dexler,
Present.
Lowe,
Here.
Healy,
Here.
Gunderson.
I'm sorry, here.
We have a starting.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum. Items to be added to the agenda. We don't have anything to be added, but Randy Golden has asked to be taken off the agenda for tonight. So, anything else anybody has?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a, you want me to make a motion to approve the minutes from last?
Well, we'll need approval of our agenda for this month.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda
With Randy Golden.
with Randy off.
Yeah.
Second.
Second. Motion by John, second by Sherry. Okay. Next on the agenda is approving the previous meetings minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll
Okay, we have a motion by Kevin,
Frank.
or excuse me, Frank, and a second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain because I was gone last time.
Okay, number 6, declaring conflict of interest. Anybody have a conflict of interest with any of these tonight?
No.
Okay. Okay, I guess we got a couple minutes till our first item, Don Johnson. So we have a new planning and zoning administrator. I don't know if everybody's met him here.
I
Yeah.
haven't met him yet.
Yeah, I'm Gary Benner. I'm just coming down, just started yesterday from Brown County, so if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm looking forward to working with y'all.
Okay.
So,
Good to have you on.
Thank you.
And in the past, you worked with Gary, you've worked with planning and zoning and
Yes.
floods
I-
and,
From 2007 to 13, I was planning and zoning director for Brown County, and then I was commission assistant from 2013 to present, so.
So you've dealt with a lot of flooding up in the Aberdeen area.
Yeah, we had some 10 and 11 were big.
Yeah, I
ones.
remember on the Corn Council when I was on there, those Aberdeen were talking about the Jim River.
Correct.
So Gary, do you work for both counties now?
No, I do not. I left Brown County to come here.
Okay.
So is your last position was a county
Commission assistant.
assistant. What did you do in that position?
Basically work for the county commission as needed. And I just started doing some more planning and zoning duties there again too, because City of Aberdeen gave us the 3 mile back. The joint jurisdiction area was given back to Brown County. And so we were anticipating that we'd have a lot of new work that would be involved with getting the 3 mile back. So I was gonna start helping doing some planning and zoning duties again up there, so.
Okay. So you've been through it all then?
Been through quite a bit.
well, we don't have much going on down here, so.
He's paid.
So, welcome.
It's a shame to see one so young with no memory.
We are the calm board.
That is true. We are pretty calm here.
You did tell
Yeah.
them we're a good board.
Yeah, we're
They're very nice. They're very.
We try to be. We've had some heated ones.
Not since
Not too
I've
bad.
No, we haven't had one for a year or two.
Yeah. And they weren't too bad even.
No, they weren't.
Luckily.
We've had to send a couple back and bring them back next month. Like John said, go have donuts and coffee.
That's worked out rather well.
It has worked out.
Sit down, talk about it, write it down, and then sign it.
Okay, looks like the time is 7:05. Our first applicant is Don Johnson. Applicant is requesting a drainage permit to install laterals to existing drainage tile in Yankton County. Said property is legally described as the east 1/2 of the southeast 1/4 and the southwest 1/4 of the southeast 1/4 of section 35, township 94 north, range 54 west, hereinafter referred to as Ballin Township, county of Yankton, state of South Dakota. Don, are you here to speak for Don?
Yep.
Okay, we don't have anybody else here, so,
Chris, you wanna come up?
yeah. Come up and state your name for the record and
Go get him, Captain.
My name's Chris Nelson, live in 30723 444th Avenue, Mission Hill. Which I've talked about.
Just tell us what you're gonna do with your project.
Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah, what it consists of there is, Don put in some tile, I want to say that's probably about 2010. We put in about 5,000 foot of 8-inch tile into that field that is outlined there. And we got a lift station that lifts and dumps, goes across Old Highway 50 through a culvert, diagonal across another one of Don's fields, enters Yankton Clay Ditch number 2, and proceeds through some laterals, goes around around to the east side of Gayville, underneath Gayville, and into that ditch. What we'd like to do is add some more laterals into the existing infrastructure that's already there. Over the last year, there's been a fair amount of maintenance done downstream to ensure that the water can stay within the waterway and not cause anybody heartache or grief, so.
Did Gayville get their floodway taken care of?
Yeah, and that was that project last fall and in the spring.
Okay.
When we got that ditch cleaned out, it started bringing a heavy burden of water to the school area there. So we actually had to take out a culvert and put in a 60-inch culvert over in the southwest corner of Gayville, and that took care of a lot of the problem.
Okay, southwest.
Okay. The rail has a 56-inch steel going underneath, and the city of Gayville had like an 18-inch going across downstream of 56, and that worked out really well. But when we knocked, see my humor, when we knocked that out and then put that 60-inch, then it
Worked 500 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm looking on your map here, Chris, and I see there's some lines drawn in. That's what you're proposing to do.
Yes.
Where's that 8-inch come in at?
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, as far as the 8-inch, and I probably should have sketched that in as far as where that
Yeah,
goes,
this-
but
Drawing's a little redesired.
do we have a map of, we used to get a map put up on
yeah.
the screen.
On the laptop, we're working
Okay.
on doing that. It's not
Okay.
there yet. But
Oh.
I did attach the USGS line map in the packet, so you have a little bit more aerial shot.
Oh, right here, in this one.
Yeah, basically, the 8-inch that currently is there, like I say, overhead would be handy, but I could come point out to each individual. In the southeast quarter of section 35, basically at the southern central edge of that quarter is where it discharges, and it goes diagonal to north and west up into the field in section 35 there, clear up to the very northwest corner of what Don owns there, adjacent to the sod farm there, so about a half mile off from Old 50. So basically, there's that very defined waterway that was cut in back in the late 70s, early 80s, and we parallel that pretty tight is where that 8-inch goes through. Then all those laterals that are drawn off to the west, those would all tie in as they come over and sort of disappear, if you will, into it, that they tie into that 8-inch is what they would do.
Okay, you can kind of see that ditch that kind of goes in the south, wait, no, not the southwest. It's okay.
Southeast.
Yeah, southeast of that farm place there,
To section 2, right?
into section, goes into
Correct.
section 2 and then into section 1.
Yes.
Then heads down to Gayville.
Yep.
Okay, and then where does it enter Gayville, or does it go around the east side there of Gayville?
Yeah, about a quarter mile north of the cemetery, north of Gayville, there's a lateral that goes straight east, approximately 3/4 of a mile, then turns and goes straight south and goes around by the dump, and then goes along the east edge of Gayville down to the southeast corner of Gayville and enters a large culvert at Yankton Clay Ditch number 2. They did an overhaul of that probably in 2012. They pulled that all out and relayed that culvert going in the town of Gayville. So it takes the water from the southeast corner to the southwest corner.
Now, Chris, that's all considered blue line once it gets into the ditch, right?
Yes, yeah, once
Is
it
that
gets-
correct?
Yeah, the blue line, the way that it's defined, at least the map I've seen up in your office there, or the zoning office, once it gets over to 451 there, is where it enters the blue line, and that also.
Into that ditch?
Yeah.
That man-made ditch?
Yeah, and then that also is the beginning of that ditch district, if you will, there.
Yeah, yeah, I just want to clarify it for the board, and
Yeah.
that's what you're jumping into is.
So actually, this second map here with
In
the red
section-
lines,
By section 2, or even the corner of 35, that's where the ditch is already,
this is actually kind of probably the one you're going into. It's coming here and coming back and then going over to this. I don't know if you got this one.
I'll get glasses.
You're actually probably going into this
Yes, that's correct.
blue line coming down here, and then it goes across here.
Yep, underneath down here.
Okay, it doesn't really show that as a blue line there, but that's that.
that's why I was clarifying it for him, that is going into the man-made ditch,
Yeah.
or the vested ditch. I think it is, right, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes back to
Or
about
district,
1919,
Yeah.
1920 something, you know, right about then is when that district was made. 'Cause that drainage district, it sat idle for probably since about 2013, which it needed a kickstart to get going again, because they're levying taxes against people, but there's no directive, there's no meeting, and by law, you have to have a meeting on a yearly basis. So we got that going again and got a active board and got things going the right direction, so.
yeah.
I guess the reason I question that is I know in the past, there's been some comments that this is gonna be an issue down in this area because of the amount of water and the drainage districts and
Because
what
we,
needs to be done.
yeah, because we had that one other one that, that's pumping into there,
Yeah.
the Schmitz.
I don't know if that one goes into this.
Yeah,
Is that the
that's-
one that Schmitz going into?
No, they're into the big ditch up there.
Oh, they're the one next
Yeah,
door.
they're,
Okay.
they're north a mile.
That's
mile
getting
and a
cleaned
half.
too.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, because really this district is pretty darn small, you know, I think they, shooting from the hip, I think they shell out about 12,000 a year to pay for that underground line that's paying that, and I think they bring in about 13,000 a year, so it's about a 1-to-1 as far as the way that's balanced out, so it's not a whole lot of acres that it drains, but like say, if you're right north of Gayville, it's pretty important, and that's where last year when we got it, you know, I got involved because, you know, there's just a lot of maintenance need to be done, and getting the board going again and getting out cleaned out last fall, it made a huge, huge difference.
This ends up down at Weaverstead's along the river, doesn't it?
Actually, this ends up into the Yankton Clay Ditch number 1.
Oh, okay.
It converges about a mile south of Gayville.
Okay, doesn't get that far.
I can't think of the name of the place, but yeah, about a mile south of Gayville is where it converges, goes into the Yankton Clay Ditch number 1, so. And then that heads off to the east there and goes south.
Chris, I may not know as much about this as some of my fellow commissioners, but just out of plain curiosity, what particular ditch would your project go into? Because when I'm thinking of this, if it goes into a ditch, does your project have does the ditch that your project will go into have the capacity to handle your project, or are we gonna have a ditch that's gonna overfill and then we're gonna have a mess?
Right, good question. And that has been addressed, you know, both Don Johnson paid to clean out the lateral that goes north and south along 451st a few years ago. And we did a little bit more maintenance on again last year through the Yankton Clay Ditch number 2 through funds there. So there is slope and there is capacity there to run it down the lateral. I have talked with Mike Slogic prior to today about what I want to do there, and he says, as long as water doesn't sit and it speeds down there, he has recognized it, he said, yeah, no problem with it, so.
No, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking that it.
That's a good question.
I mean, it's a stupid way to put it, but imagine that your sink at home would be like a ditch, and if your sink can't handle certain water capacity, it's gonna either overflow or the water that goes in there is gonna smell because of, so
Yes,
that's
that
why I was
connection,
asking.
yeah. Yeah, needs to get away.
So about how many acres do you expect this is, Chris, that you're gonna actually be draining there?
Well, we're gonna be draining there. If you take that, you know, to say a short 80 acres that would be added onto there would be accurate, I'd say.
Okay. Because you only got 4,000 feet of tile going in. So,
Right. Yeah, like I say, Paramount, just, you know, like the laterals crossing that 80 is what we're after there, so.
okay.
Is there a chance you could run this west over to the Jim River? I love that face.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right there is sort of Continental Divide, and actually you see right there, if you have that blue line map there, about a quarter mile to the west, there's where we pick up on the Yankton, the very top end Yankton Clay Ditch number 1.
Okay.
But there's such a that it won't divide there or go that way. It'd be nice if it would, because there's way more capacity that way.
Yeah.
But we'd have to pump uphill about 5-6 feet to get it over that hump to get it to go that way.
We've done better.
Yeah.
And then we put it in Smoke Run.
What?
We put that one into your creek, Smoke Run.
Yeah, another one, yeah. You probably want to run it up and put it in the Mud Creek. is what you-
Or Mud Creek.
Maybe like-
Okay, does anybody else? have
Wait a
any-
minute, we got to explain this. Everybody up in northern has to dump into Mud Creek, which comes down through my pasture. Every time we get a storm, it washes out the 4 fences.
And we had one that we actually went from one district to the next, and that was his district.
But they
And I
don't
think
come
that
and
was
fix
a-
fence either.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions for Chris? Okay, I guess we may have questions for you later, but,
Okay.
okay, is there anybody else here who would like to speak in favor of the project?
I have one question before you sit down, Chris. Are you going to need any easements on this?
So this Don Johnson easement that's not signed here is not needed? Oh, that's a notification, never mind. Yeah.
He's hooking into his own tile,
Yeah, he's hooking into
Yeah.
his phone tile, yeah.
so.
So would this have been administrative? Most of the time.
Under normal circumstances.
Under normal circumstances, now that we've had, have our new planning and zoning, that we wouldn't see this. Yep, okay.
Once
That's
we-
good to know, thank you, that was my other question.
Yeah, I was going to clarify it for you guys.
Thank you.
Once we get you up to speed, stuff like this.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else to speak in favor of the project? Hearing none, well, anybody else who speak, do you want to speak in favor again, Chris?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
If you need it, I will, but I won't.
okay.
You want to get speak opposed?
Anybody that wants to speak in opposition to this project? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public portion and we'll go to the board discussion.
Do we need to do any findings and facts since it is administrative?
it would be best if we would take the 2 minutes to do it, yeah.
Okay.
Let's give them a fig leaf, just in case somebody like the CA Gayville objects.
Did you want me to read through the section 9 and 10, or?
Usually we're 3.10 and
Is it 3 point? Let's see.
3.09, 3.10.
Yep. Yeah,
Page 13.
yep.
Since we're here, do it right.
All right, section 3.09, evaluation of permit apps. Number 1, the flow or quantity of water to be drained will not overburden the water course into which the water will be drained. So we've talked through about the capacity of the ditch and everything. Number 2, the drainage will not flood or adversely affect the land of the lower proprietors, or in the case of an impediment to drainage, whether such an impediment will not flood or adversely affect upstream landowners. So it's going into his own tile into the ditch that's designated for drainage. Number 3, easements will be granted where required. No easements are required. Number 4, the drainage will not negatively affect agricultural productivity. The goal is to improve. Number 5, the land affected or the land drained is and will remain rural in character. And it will. Number 6, when the land to be drained is rural land, the presumption and factors set forth in SDCL 46A 10A 20 will be satisfied. And would you like me to walk through all of those 6?
Please.
Number 1, the land receiving the drainage remains rural in character. Number 2, the land being drained is used in a reasonable manner. Number 3, the drainage creates no unreasonable hardship or injury to the owner of the land receiving the drainage. Number 4, the drainage is natural and occurs by means of a natural water course or established water course. Number 5, the owner of the land being drained does not substantially alter on a permanent basis the course of flow, the amount of flow, or the time of flow from that which would occur. And number 6, the other feasible alternative drainage system is available that will produce less harm. No other feasible alternative drainage system is available that will produce less harm without substantially greater cost to the owner of the land being drained. So of those 6, any concerns?
No,
I didn't.
I think he meets it.
I think they're,
I didn't, no red flags came up to me that, it's not like he's digging his own waterway or anything. So back to our other list, we're down to number 7. Adequate precautions have been taken to ensure that roadways will not be negatively impacted. You've already talked to our highway superintendent and covered that. Number 8, recommendations from the Drainage Commission in the findings of fact. And number 9, such other factors the Drainage Board determines to be pertinent to the application. So did we have other recommendations we need to attach to this that were not listed above?
you know, the one thing that I think about down in this area is there's a lot of water to be drained, and that's kind of had some issues in there. And I just wondered if we shouldn't add on to these projects down there that in the future, if there is a problem, we may have to put valves on there so to somehow control the flow. I mean, everything's working today.
How much can you add
How
before
much
there's a
can you add
problem?
before there's a problem?
Have you discussed that at all in your newly recreated meeting?
The biggest hang-up they got, we're, the bottleneck, you want to call it, is the culvert. It goes underneath by the rail yard there, by the railroad, and that's got to take the flow of the culvert that goes by underneath the rail and over in the southwest corner of Gayville. And according to calculation, that'll drain 2,24 acres, 2,025, give or take, something like that. Acre inches every 24 hours.
Okay.
Based on the flow we can get through that pipe. The amount of acres that are in that drainage district is about 2,700 to 3,000 acres, something like that, that watershed drains or that drainage district. There is water such as extreme reaches of Don's and even beyond that that does flow into this district. And you know, the tile would probably be secondary because, you know, that ground is very, very tight. The infiltration to get into the tile is not as great as like you'd have on a clary soil. So surface drainage is still key. We have to maintain the surface drainage waterways to get the water to run. Because the tile is just it's gonna be sort of an after the fact type deal. Once we get rid of all the water that'll flow, the tile will get rid of what we can make run there, so to speak. So has there been concern, you know, like Gary Freeberg's president, you know, we've talked about it, you know, he's content, you know, actually rather satisfied just how much we are getting rid of now. But like I say, you can always do better too, you know, but there's only so much slope we gotta work with there. And, you know, we're talking, well, I know on Don's, if I remember correctly, it's like 5 inches on, 5 or 6 inches on 4,000 feet. It's flat. So that's a challenge we have. So you just gotta keep everything open to where it can run when we have a spring like we just had.
Yeah. Well, I guess my concern is if we have a problem down there at Gayville, if we have a way to cut the flow of water, everything we possibly could for a short period of time, till that situation eases itself. I mean, I guess today it's maybe fine, but I always think we need to look down the road, you know, 10 or 15 years,
Yeah.
and maybe we never need to do anything like that, but
Yeah.
just that we have the possibilities of doing that.
And like in Don's situation, it's easy as flipping a breaker and it's done, you know, because like this spring I mothballed it.
Oh, okay.
'Cause, you know, there's so much going on there that, you know, a pump discharging out of 8-inch discharge was not going to, you know.
Because you're pumping it, it's a
Yeah.
lift station.
Yeah.
And you only have, what, a 100 gallon minute, 200 gallon minute?
It's a little bit better than about 500.
500 gallons
Yeah.
a minute's all year.
But,
You know, so he does have basically a switch there.
Switch there, yeah.
yeah.
So he's got
Wouldn't
a
need a
pump.
valve, it just shut the pump off.
Just shut the pump off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the spring when things got a little out of control, you know, it was off all winter and we drove by and I just looked at it, it's like, it's gonna be a long while till we start that, because we need to get rid of, you know, everybody's water, get it back in an orderly fashion, back in the ditches, and
Yeah.
that took a long time.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I mean, I think we just need to have something like that on there. Not that, you know, I mean, as long as you run it like that and everything, but maybe the next guy we have, you know.
We've had situations where people were trying to pump and the next neighbors is flooding on the opposite side of the bank.
Right.
And I think that's where Paul's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, if I want to say the nice thing about this is until it gets in that blue line, it goes down 451, it's all on Don's property. So, and there's some discussion going there just how we can combine that and make it more efficient. Because there's some problems with culvert elevations and whatnot there, but so it's good, and we aren't, and like I say, we gotta get along with our neighbors down there too, and we're trying to improve the whole neighborhood, not just dump it on them, so.
Yeah.
Well, Gayville finally got their act together and got their ditch running through town fixed. That was a big problem for a long time.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
shot themselves in the foot there, but
Do we need to do section 10, or are we
Yeah.
adequate for 9?
We'll have to go. I guess I just feel we should be putting something on there. I mean, probably never have to use it, but we have to use it at some point. 20 years down the road, it's there, that they can be requested to turn the pumps off.
And then that might be the district too.
that's part of the water district.
That's part of the water district too.
No, that's part of our job. I mean, the water district can do it, but someplace there has to be something that says, in emergency, this will be done.
I guess we haven't done that on any of them.
No, but we're working in an area down there there's gonna be a lot of drainage requests from down there, and
Well, Paul, he's actually improving the situation, so I don't
I
understand what you're.
I understand it.
Develop on it.
I understand. But in the emergency, when you get a large flow of water, just,
That's surface water.
I understand it's gonna be surface
Water's
water,
under
but
control going, you know, going into the ground and coming out later.
I understand that. And I'm
don't
not saying to
understand.
shut it off permanently, just maybe for a day or two or till a situation where it alleviates itself down the stream. You know, if we got flooding, if you got 2, 3 pumps putting 8 inches a piece in there, that's still a lot of water.
That water would ran off the surface though, so you're not getting any more water, I don't understand.
Yes,
Where are you
you
getting
are.
the extra water?
You're getting it right now.
If it's surface drained, yeah.
The surface is coming and you still got flow coming from your tile. If you could shut those tiles off for a couple days until things settle down.
It would be a minor improvement.
Sometimes some minor
You know what I
improvement
mean?
means a lot.
I mean, actually, the water that's soaking into its ground is not gonna run off the surface, and that's gonna be better than not having any tile at all.
You would have an immediate effect. Maybe not a big effect, but you'd have an immediate effect. Because if you get that much surface water, the tile is gonna be flowing probably full blast too.
Yeah,
And
at
surface
whatever
water,
the
so-
size pipe is, of course.
So if you
So
shut
it's
off the
controlled
pipes.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
You know, I'm not looking at today, I'm looking 20 years down the road or 30 years down the road.
How do you quantify that?
Quantify what?
What's the criteria for turning it on and off?
I guess that would probably be determined if there's an issue comes up in Gayville that the water isn't being handled in that town. You know, if it starts flooding out some areas down there, that's when you'd have to start turning it off. The capacity ditch is only so much.
Who's gonna regulate it too?
Well,
Say,
Who's gonna regulate it too?
yeah, that's my question. I mean,
I know what,
you get,
That becomes more of a water ditch.
That'd be
I see both
I-
sides of this
yeah,
argument.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand, you know, in this case, we've got a railroad culvert that was maybe fine when the railroad was redone in the 50s or after 1918, one or the other, but is no longer adequate.
yeah. Well, and I don't know who will regulate it, but if we have conditions in place to where if there's a need for it, we have a way to do it.
That's my question, is how do we, I mean, you can't say it can be regulated without giving some idea of what the regulations are. Goals must be definable and achievable.
I guess if it's determined in the future that it needs to be regulated, it can be regulated. Otherwise, they're gonna say they're all grandfathered in. You know, Chris he turned it off this spring, and that's great. 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, the guy might not wanna turn them off.
but then we bring them back like we did the Schmidt ones.
I don't know if we can bring it back once we've done
We
this.
can't because we've granted the permit.
Permit.
Like I say, I see both
Yeah.
sides of this
Yeah,
argument,
I
and the
do.
problem we've got down there is, you've got ditch districts, and you've got guys that went in and bulldozed out the trees and filled the creeks in the dry years. And so now they're flooding out because the creeks are low. Or somebody blocks a culvert like happened this summer several times. And so then the sheriff's deputy gets called and they find the guy blocking the culvert the second time. I have no problem with the restriction, I just want to define what, you know,
I guess,
he's going into part of the district, they have the power of regulation.
And the other point is, this has already got an 8-line with the pump, he's just adding laterals.
Yeah.
And this would have been administrative.
now,
I'm not saying against Paul, but I'm just saying, the pump part and stuff was already been approved, or been.
well, we're adding more to it, so
Yeah, but you can't increase, he can't increase the size of the pump without coming in for another permit.
no. It's just, I like to take a long-term look.
I agree with you.
I don't like to do short-term, then tomorrow, my gosh, we got a problem, we should have done something. You know, if we'd have in language in there that if it's deemed by the Drainage Commission in the future that it needs to be regulated, it can be done.
But we've done so many of them already with pump stations, and I don't know, are you gonna go back and do all of them? We can do, you know, Schmidt's, the up north, the one
Well,
we were.
Schmidt was a different deal because.
Yeah,
they didn't
because
have
he
a permit.
added more tile than he was
Right.
permitted for. But I mean, even the one up on Smoke Run clear up north that we switched districts and stuff like that. We never put
Yeah.
anything on those.
Well, we may have to. At some point, you know,
Then we're looking at having to change the ordinance and add
Yes.
that to it.
Yeah.
we can put conditions on these permits.
And in a way, we could do that on this one, but we would have to engage a hydrologist to determine, you know, if we're gonna start doing it, then we've gotta, and it is in the ordinance where, based on hydrology, we can put limits on a permit.
We put limits on all the permits. If they're dumping, we tell them they gotta control erosion.
Correct.
So, there's,
I agree. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying if we're gonna do it, we have to define what we're doing. We can't just leave it open-ended because we're granting a permit here.
but we're putting, we can
And
put
if
some
we're gonna put a
restrictions on
restriction
that.
on, then we have to define what the restriction is. We can't leave it.
That it could be controlled in emergencies in the future,
What,
if determined by the Drainage Commission.
what the state has done for withdrawals, for example, in the Jim River, is state priority of use determines, and they've got, like up in Brown, you know, starting up in Brown County, they've got gauges on the river coming all the way down. And if the river runs low, then those last in line have to shut their pumps off. You're familiar with that.
Correct.
And that, I mean, it works as far as a drought works.
And I'll look at the, I don't know exactly what your permit reads right now. We may be able to come up with some kind of wording that helps with what you're asking about on the actual permit. Because I think on our permits up there, we had words stating that would cover future incidents like that there was some control over the ability to have them shut things off and things if it was an emergency situation.
Yeah,
So
for-
I'll take a look at that.
For example, Chris brought up the capacity of that 2,000 acre inches per day on that culvert. Okay, how many acres are draining into it? What's the additional? That's the hydrology issue. Find what your limit is and then find what the contributing percentage of that, how many acres are going in. We have not done that yet.
Well, this is an area, you know, this has been discussed before that there's gonna be some issues down in this area.
Agreed.
And then part of that is who makes the call?
Hmm.
Is it this board, or this commission, or is it the drainage area? Because you're in a drainage area, and to me, district, to me, you guys should make that call because it's in your backyard. It shouldn't come
It
here.
should come from the board, shouldn't it? The only people I think it should come from is drainage district, or if there's something wrong with the roads, or, you know, the road supervisor, or something, you know, you're talking culverts and capacity.
Right.
All of a sudden, road supervisor sees we have a problem with our ditch or something.
Yeah.
Because he said it goes right along 451 or whatever, 451 Avenue? Yeah, and that's right along the highway there.
You know, and at a certain
Yeah,
rain event or whatever, you guys get together and everybody shuts their tile off. And
Yeah.
that makes it easy for 2 days or whatever, surface drainage is gone and everybody can turn their stuff back on. And that's what you're trying to do now. The challenge is the bad actors.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what my vision is, how do we control that if we happen to run that into that?
Run it through the district. They've got control of the ditch.
They've got control of the ditch.
But if there isn't something that says they need to do that,
What does the ditch district say?
probably not gotten dug in that far into that.
They haven't ran into
Yes,
that.
it's not a problem at this point.
It's, you know, it really
really look at those facts that, down there, surface drainage is, paramount or what the preferred method is. As far as intensive like iron tiling down there, there's a couple fields that have gotten done in the last 9 months, over in Lake County. We haven't watched very closely into that. And, there's a ditch right there. They have to lift it down. The next step is it's kind of one step forward with their financial resources into it. Will they will or not? No, I don't know. But I guess it has been discussed. It's more a fact of getting everything back onto the water flows again. That's been the first step. It was a big step last year and finishing up the spring. So.
Well, I guess maybe we'll leave this discussion later on, but at some point, I think we have to do something. If they start pattern tiling everything down there and putting pumps in to lift that water up, and I've seen that up in Minnesota. I mean, you go around, you'll see concrete silos in the ground, and there's a pump all over it. Yeah, I mean, they did a lot of that to drain those flatlands out.
So do we just need to make a comment on this permit that the pump in place may be used to give priority to drain into the ditch by the local ditch board? Can we just add that in there so that's noted in the permit, that it's got a pump on the system? It may be required in the future by that ditch board in a priority situation to be regulated.
I'd be fine
And so
with
it's
that.
not requiring it, and we're giving
Right.
them the
Give them
authority
the
to
authority.
control it, not us. Would that work for now, anyway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's trying to shut them off permanently, but just 2-3
Just like you
days.
did common sense.
Yes.
Like Chris just said, common sense said, shut it off.
Exactly.
You know.
And so in the next project that comes forth, either they've got a pump or we require a valve that may be used to regulate the discharge in priority situations
Yeah.
by the local board.
Yeah.
And if we don't have a local ditch board, then it would come to us if we require that. Okay,
Okay, I guess I would,
so if we could add that as a recommendation,
yeah.
and this doesn't have to go to the next level, so we are it on this.
No, I was just wondering if this is actually administrative permit.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But
but
the
we're,
administrative can put those regulations on too.
yes.
Yes.
Sure,
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Are we
Okay.
good then?
Do you have that, Jessica, do you have that? How, would you like to read that back, what we put on there?
Yeah, if you wanna help me, so recommend that the drainage district has the authority.
The local ditch board,
Has the authority to regulate the flow in emergency situations.
how about we say they may use the pump to prioritize drainage into the ditch. And if we want to say during a flood event or whatever, I mean, we don't want them over there shutting it off all the time, but
Better stay on the dish.
And Dave's point, if there's more of that tiling, they have more capacity in that ground when we do have an event, so it,
yeah,
May never
the
have-
idea is to trickle it slow.
yeah.
So I wrote, recommended the local ditch board may use the pump to prioritize drainage into ditch during an emergency situation.
Perfect, that's great.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have anything on that? I guess I'm gonna go to section 3.10. You wanna do that one too, Sherry? or
You
want
bet.
me to do it?
Number one, drainage into receiving water courses which do not have sufficient capacity to handle the additional flow and quantity of water shall be considered to have an adverse effect. The applicant shall be responsible to provide sufficient evidence with third-party verification when requested by the Drainage Commission or the Drainage Board. Number two, whether drainage is accomplished by reasonably improving and aiding the normal and natural system of drainage according to its reasonable carrying capacity, or in the absence of a practical natural drain, a reasonable artificial drain system is adopted. Number 3, the amount of water proposed to be drained. Number 4, the design and other physical aspects of the drain. Number 5, the impact of sustained flows. And number 6 are recommendations to put in the findings of fact. So all of those were criteria to determine whether drainage will adversely affect lands of lower landowners. So this is draining into the ditch itself, and we talked about the capacity through Gayville and that culvert, and the idea of maybe having to shut the pump off if we need to and such. So anything else that we need to address in those 5?
No, I don't think so. I guess we'd be ready to entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Moved by John, second by Tom, to approve the application with the recommendations from the Drainage Commission. Roll call vote when you're ready.
Schumer,
Yes.
Krylicek,
Yes.
Bixler,
Aye.
Loach,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Gunderson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Okay. Time being 8:47. Our next applicant is Chad Eilers. Chad is here to discuss the possibility of pumping water out of a small pond on property into a natural waterway on neighboring property. Chad, would you like to? Oh, okay.
There's not matching up here. More trees.
So this one came before me, before we had our zoning administrator here. So I brought it here because I wasn't sure what kind of permit he would need or what he needs to go through on this. So you can see on the wetland determination kind of what he wants to do, and I'll have him explain a little bit more of the project. But down the road, maybe next year, he wants to add some drain tile. But right now he has a little pond there. It's a farming wetland. And to free up some of the water in there, to kind of free up some of the water on the land, he wants to be able to pump some of that water out. And he's talked to his neighbors below, which is where the water would be going, which does eventually lead to a blue line. But it would be going into like a natural waterway on his neighbor's property. His neighbor's fine with it. We haven't gotten easements yet because we wanted to see which direction the commission wanted to take it. So he will get easements if with whatever he needs to do. So I'll let him explain the project a little bit better than I did, but that's where we're at. So there's not going to be a motion tonight. We're just looking for direction of where we go from here.
Okay, Chad, you want to come up and state your name and?
Chad Eilers, 43724 Highway 46. And I really can't describe it any different than what she said. At Dakota Fest, I talked to the drain tile guy. He had 4 crews going. There was no possibility of doing it this year. He said maybe next year. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I had a crazy idea. Maybe I can pump the water out of that dam, because by the picture, the NRCS and that wants me to put a riser in. Well, just to place that riser, it's all underwater. I mean, it's, I don't know, probably 100 feet away from where the riser needs to go. Well, my intent was to pump it out this winter and let it fill up, or let that water backflow and fill the pond back up, and maybe possibly pump it in the spring. And then hopefully, when I do all my permits and that stuff with the drain tile, it's dry to get that riser there. And there won't be no dirt work, there won't be nothing except pumping the water. And I don't know how fast we can get this through, but I've already talked to 2 different guys and I could have them there tomorrow, started pumping. Like she said, I talked to both neighbors downstream. One's Ellen Braunschneider and the other is Warren Wagner. Well, that's, I would say, a mile away from the pond, so I think I got that covered. Well, it goes through Ellen Braunschneider's, through Wagner's, then I have no idea who lives on the corner, then like past Sharon Barkle and down to the state lake.
Yeah, it's my backyard.
No, we're used to yours. I got that covered.
Doesn't.
You don't
Especially
know,
all those small towns.
Sherry owns ground by the state lake.
Yeah.
And my ground keeps on
Goes
getting
on
flooded
the
out, I
corner
farm
there.
down there.
Yeah, it's a blue line, I'm sure. It was,
And by the NRCS, the blue line is right there at the corner of the fence line on Ellen Braunschneider's side.
So the blue line is on Ellen's there, on the bottom of your field, right?
see if I can
Or
get
show-
central here.
Which picture do you want me to show?
No, go back to that one.
You're
It's
on
not
Morris's
in
old
alphabetical
farm,
order, is it?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Morris Becker. Okay, right here in this little corner is mine, so right,
Where's that?
It's not my property.
here, can I borrow your pen, Paul?
Yeah, but
Let's
this is better
see.
map here probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be right about here, right on the other side.
Where is
right
that
in
on
the
this
corner.
map?
It's right,
Oh, that's,
got the-
Here's your blue line coming up.
It'll be right here.
yep,
Right in the.
Right up.
All right.
right, yeah.
South,
it'd be-
southeast corner.
Yeah.
Of that blue line.
Yep,
Oh, yeah, the blue line's right there, you can see it.
there you go.
You can see the blue line on this map here.
There you go.
Oh, you got that one.
Yeah, on this one it shows
Doesn't
it
look like
just,
it goes up
it doesn't
that
go
far,
quite up
but-
that far.
Yeah,
Well, by the NRCS one it did, so.
yeah,
it's
you
all
can
right,
see there's a
gotcha.
definite ditch there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I've been talking to Ellen and Wagner's the last 3 months and they said go for it.
What are you gonna pump with?
Actually, Jamesville Colony, well, depends if they could do it. They'd use the same pump, they pump their lagoon out. I don't know, it's a 10-inch or I don't know,
It's an 8 or 10.
8 or 10-inch. Well, funny thing,
So
I
you're-
just found out today a neighbor bought a PTO driven pump from Quality Well or something. And he said he'd be willing to pump it out. So
So you're trying to pump out the dam there, right?
I'm trying to get I'm gonna pump the dam out to get the water back in.
And you're gonna pump it down the creek, or basically to the blue line to.
Correct.
To go down to.
Correct.
To the state lake.
And the only reason, well, I mean,
So-
I've talked to both neighbors, well, as far as Alan, we farm his ground, so I'm
Yeah.
safe with both of them. They both told me
But-
go for it.
But I wanna go step just a little bit here back, cause we got this issue that just got pulled off the table again. Somebody pumping water down the ditch, across the road down here by the lake. And it's been a problem since the floods this spring. So, as a board, can we even permit them to, or, you know, how do we handle this? So I don't wanna see,
He's not
You know, he-
asking for a permit.
no, he's not asking for a permit, but they didn't ask for a permit down there either. I'm not saying his 2 first ones down the stream, he's getting to the blue line, but that was going to the Missouri River. How do we prevent somebody complaining about what he's doing?
I guess I would view it just as a drainage permit. I mean, it's no different than putting a lift pump in, he's, right now. I mean, if somebody had a drain tile with a lift pump,
Yeah.
that's basically the same thing, that's what he wants to do.
The simple thing is, he gets easements to the blue line.
Get easements
As
to
long
the
as it
blue.
gets to a blue
If
line.
you get to the blue line, I think,
Okay.
so I think you
Yeah.
go back, get your easements, get your permit.
And Jessica can get them for me, or,
it's not
Yeah,
gonna cross my
you write them up and
you-
then,
okay,
write them up and
Okay.
get them signed.
Yeah.
And then you probably have to come back to the board because the blue line's not on your property,
okay.
correct?
Across there,
So
I think it would depend on if it was.
if it was me, Chad, I'd wait
pasture.
till you got your permit to get to the blue line. to get your easements,
Easements and everything, yeah.
and.
So you're saying I need the easement signed, but I don't need no permit then?
No, you need the easements, and then come back and get the permit before I'd even start. Just say,
Where do I get the permit, or?
come back to the board.
Oh,
Did
okay.
Rodney Anderson come before this board in the last couple of months?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I believe so. I
yeah.
mean,
There was, Brian McGinnis granted an administrative permit for him.
To drain his water.
I was wondering when that one was coming up. I see that.
Well, I was wondering, did he come?
I thought he
It
did.
wasn't before the board.
It was
Well-
an administrative
It was
permit.
in, it might have been.
Might have been administrative.
And he got authority to drain his slough essentially back down to normal slough levels. And it went right through a county culvert into a county ditch and
Down the
made
blue
its way
line.
to a blue line. Yep,
Yeah, he did.
yep, he did that.
And nobody complained about it.
Nope, and you know, and I'm sitting there, if I had a hole on my property and I was draining that hole to another piece on my own property, would I have to come before the board? Or would I just have to deal with NRCS and make sure I'm not draining something that I'm not supposed to be draining?
But he's not, he doesn't have a blue line on his property, neither did Rodney. And that's why Rodney came to Pat, or not Pat,
To
Brian.
But it was great, but it never came before this board
No.
on that.
It was
So, and-
administrative, as I remember.
Yep, and so were there any easements that he was required to get?
He should have
But
been
he
from
wasn't
the
a-
township,
But he, no, that was a county road.
or the county then, whatever, you know.
He should have got a permit from the county from Rock.
Right.
So I don't know if he got one to be in the ditch, working in the ditch.
And that's not, this is gonna be a long-term deal where he's gonna be putting tile. That's a short-term deal to make it,
Okay, so this is leading up
okay, I got a
to
question.
next spring, you're gonna be back to put in real drain
Well, I
tile.
was gonna say, you said come back to get a permit, right? Can I get the same permit for my drain tile, like, okay,
for me,
Like roll it
I'd
in together?
package it together.
that's what
You're
I'm
gonna do the
asking.
whole package.
If you're gonna do the whole package, it'd be so much simpler,
Okay.
you know, where this was just a temporary flood
Right.
water, he's trying to drop it down.
I think we could consider this dewatering prior to construction.
On the permit. When he comes, you know, he gets his 2 easements next month, come right back to him.
Get his easements, go through DENR, get his groundwater discharge.
Yeah, you gotta get your DNR.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell
gave
you,
him the number.
I'm not email, or I don't do none of that
Just call him.
crap, so.
To call it, yeah.
Well, can she help me with that,
Oh,
or?
yeah. DNR is really easy to talk to over the phone.
Well, I mean, if I catch a rainy day during
just don't want
harvest,
them
it'd be
showing up
easier
this
for
close.
me to run in anyway, so.
She knows what she's doing.
I hope so. Okay,
yeah,
You're welcome.
I would say get
Small
your-
bills.
get your easements together, Chad.
okay,
And then you can come back next month.
okay.
You know, you have to give your notifications to everybody and I would have.
And that's just for a mile downstream, or just to the blue line,
To the
right?
blue line.
To the blue line.
Okay,
Or is it
Mile
down?
We would notify a mile down. a half
Mile.
mile.
notify.
well, the mile's just Wagner's and Brown Schneider
You
anyways.
get easements to the blue line.
You need easements to the blue line, you
Yeah.
notify
If I
a mile
can,
down.
down now.
So the 2 easements, and then you said the DNR thing, and then
No,
that,
I didn't say 2 easements. I said easements to the blue line.
well, that'd be 2 people,
Okay.
okay?
And then notice everybody within a mile down and a half up. Because
Oh, okay.
somebody upstream might want to tie into this. And then get a hold of DENR for your groundwater discharge.
Okay,
And
then-
then you'll be kosher.
Yeah, have your project laid out where you want your tile.
well, yeah, I kinda got it scratched in there
Yeah.
where the tile wants to go, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make a better map since I got time, so.
Then you'll be ready for next spring to go right when they're ready to go, right?
Well, if you had 4 crews putting pipe till it freezes, well,
They
I'm
went,
kinda leery what's gonna
they
happen.
went till late last year.
Oh.
December.
But you never know if,
gonna be
you
a-
might have a tiler in the area
Well,
at some point. They
I
might-
don't know, it seems to me like grid line's probably the best one to do, and that's what probably next summer maybe, or, so.
They can go through a lot of frost.
That's what he said. He'll go till it freezes, so,
They'll go into January.
so,
Did last year.
So if they have to dig a hole to get the starter going.
well, they'll have to probably dig about 3 foot to put the riser where it needs to go first anyway, so.
Always start at the bottom and work your way up. Just to
Oh, that's
get,
how that,
Project we
Yeah.
did with Heinz.
otherwise you have a fountain at the end.
I don't care
Just
if I
sitting
can
there,
just
yeah.
get it pumped out and
Water's
dried out
just
so you
starting
can
to come down that we can
get
walk
to the
out,
riser
just get
spot, I'll be fine.
Did the DNR.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
on the road.
Or the
It would-
NRCS hasn't came out there.
You wouldn't be able to get that permit till next
Next month.
month, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's fine because,
let's see.
I'll tell you, the neighbor Larry Scorpion, he's the one that bought the pump and I talked to him today. He said he'd come over tomorrow if I could, so,
They want me to close it.
so, yeah,
And put a
it all
riser.
depends if the water freezes or whatever, so.
So,
I petition.
okay,
Chad, hell freezing over.
I thought that was already.
okay, yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's the way we'll
Okay,
to handle it there, so.
all right,
Thanks, Chad.
thank you.
Where do you want the height of that?
Okay.
She's
next-
coming back up
last
again.
thing.
Administrative?
Where the depth of the ditch was.
Yeah, yeah.
So who's gonna? No, it just matter who get out there doing it.
Okay. So, as you know, we have a new zoning administrator, so you guys can decide, since last time you made a motion that, everything would come to the commission. So I don't know what you want to do now that we have an administrator, but you guys can discuss.
Does the administrator wanna take over right away, or you wanna wait a month?
Well, I guess that's not the biggest concern, but yeah, it'd probably be easier if we did, but waited a month, but, either way is fine with me. The biggest thing is, yeah, where you wanna draw the line.
Right.
I mean, that's always the question, so.
Well, we told
What
the
I
last,
was-
we told her on the phone, I was on the phone, you got the right to bring everything to the board.
Yeah, and that was what I was used to, is that we just made an executive decision that we would bring everything to the board. And so then there wasn't any question. And it seems like there's been some questions on things that have been administratively done recently. And so that just seems to be the logical answer, but that's up to the board.
You know, I don't wanna overwhelm the board either if they're simple projects. You know, if they're a blue line into the guy's property, has enough slope, has enough drop, enough capacity. I know it's gonna take him a while, but he should be
He'll learn,
able,
yeah.
he'll learn, you know, and he understands it already.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, you don't have to bring everything to the board and we'd be here till midnight, 1 o'clock. I know somebody's husband doesn't like that.
And the other thing is the notifications and stuff.
Yeah.
The burden on the applicant as well, not just for time, because we only meet once a month.
Right.
But the notifications that are they required, are they not required?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I think that is kind of a cloudy area that I do believe we need to clarify as cut and dry as we can. So when someone walks in, they know exactly what the expectations are going to be.
And that was something that we did ourselves. We didn't have the applicant do that.
You actually sent them out.
We actually sent them out.
You know, I wondered about that.
I think we did it one time here too, and then,
Well,
it seems to me when I was.
no, because when I did one with several with,
No, but I mean, years before this, we even had a drainage board. When I was on the planning commission, I think we used to send those out, and then it was decided
well,
to
when
have.
we did buildings and stuff, I sent those out. You know, like when I built my shop that time.
Yeah, that was.
That was back in '10,
Yeah.
and then when we built the other one back in '05, I sent those all out, certified. You know, you certify and seal them, but you know that is a very good point, because I always thought, okay, what if I didn't want to mail one to my one neighbor? You know, I always thought that. You mailed everybody else.
If we sent everything certified, and then I could say in the file that you signed for this when people were saying that they weren't notified about
Yes.
the meeting or
And it-
whatever else. And that just seemed to be the easiest way to assure that everybody was getting their notifications and were available.
I
to come.
think that is very smart, you know, and maybe you'll have to raise your fees or pay for this.
Well,
Yeah.
we already raised the zoning fees.
Yeah, but what I'm
We can't
saying-
raise this fee.
Sure.
It's set by state law.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you have to pay the mailing, because mailing will cost. If you're
Yeah,
sending
if we do certified,
Oh.
it's like
Yeah.
$6.80 to $8 to send certified, each letter.
Yeah, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's what, the only problem about certified,
Yeah.
even regular mail, bring your own book of stamps in. If it's 10, bring 10 stamps in, or, because I think now it's just regular mail.
Yeah.
First class.
First class, yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got a point there that if it's certified and they sign for it, they can't say they weren't notified.
I don't know if we need to go to certified. I'd say
It is quite a cost.
if the zoning board just mailed them,
We haven't had an issue, so.
we haven't had
Where
an
we
issue
need to
with that.
Do that at this point.
And we do, you know, the planning and zoning does put it in the paper, or don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
For
it's
the planning
notified
and
two
zoning.
different ways.
The hearings are notified.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we put a sign out at the property for planning
Oh,
and
yeah,
zoning.
and then you also put it in the courthouse.
Yep.
Yeah, if you feel that's the way you'd like to do it, I'm all right with it. You're finding all the names anyway and the addresses for them anyway.
Correct.
So-
Yeah, I think it'd be really smart, just have him mail the stuff.
Yeah, first class, yeah.
Yeah.
And that takes the question off the applicant if down the road there is a question.
I've always thought about that, how, you know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
even first class, at least we have copies of the letter that we signed, and so.
if the mail lost, is the mail lost,
Yeah.
you guys are, said, yes, I put that bundle in.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want a motion on any of this, or?
I don't know if we made a motion
I
last.
don't think so. I think if we certainly wait another month or so and then just kind of feel it out as we go, and that would be fine. It kind of slows down right now anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, it slowed way down.
Oh, wait till December.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. It's
Right.
gonna be kind of January, February.
So,
So I just have a few directional questions of where I need to go with this. I had someone come in today and I can share this with everyone. But if you see, they have this property here, so in the blue is theirs. This here has expanded and it's expanding into their property. And so to prevent.
Where is that at?
This is in Central Township, 436th Ave.
Had to be one of three.
So maybe you know where it's at.
No, but
Okay.
that's little Minnesota.
Okay.
436.
So, it's starting to go, it has been going into their basement. So their question is, what can they do? They've offered an idea of, they'd like to put a ditch in and put a non-perforated line out to the road ditch. That does not go, they have,
Hi, Chris.
Blue
Tom.
line's
My meeting
further
is-
away.
Is almost finished. Okay.
so that's not really an
Bye-bye.
option to get to a blue line.
What'd you say the address again?
It's 30044, 436th Ave.
304.
Just a second, that's straight. 3044.
30044.
Do you have the name of the party?
Yes, it's Lauren Fuchs.
Oh, that's up there by,
oh,
that's-
yeah,
Yeah, you know where that's at. Sherry does.
I
yeah.
didn't get the name of the neighbors. I know I had.
It's, Annie. Amy.
She lives on the, and Fuchs lived just down the road.
Yeah, that gravel road's been closed all summer. Now,
Yep,
is that
it's
tomorrow?
underwater.
Yes. So they also said maybe they could bring in some backfill, build a berm. I don't know what their options are. They're just looking for what could they do.
No,
It's a bowl. I mean, it's, when you look on both sides, the road.
both sides of gravel roads are both.
Yeah, the
problems, so-
Lesterville Road goes through, and to the north, the road's underwater, to the south,
It's
the
just
road's
up on top of the
underwater.
hill.
Yep, it's
Okay.
below
Right
Lori's Corpus there,
before-
south of
yeah.
Lori's Corpus.
Yes.
Does the county even know what they're doing with the gravel roads? Cause that's an unorganized township.
It's unorganized. We have certainly
Darn
no
that
plans
ice
to raise
breaking
the
off and
road.
melting up there.
Yeah, there's really no place to drain that to.
Well, she said what she wants to do is ditch it to the north.
Take it to the road ditch.
Ditch it to the west. So
Oh,
they
west.
put in a
Road
ditch
ditch.
to the west to the
And
road
then go
ditch.
towards Anderson's.
Yeah, then where does it go?
And
Or go to
then,
Anderson Lane ground.
Well,
And
let's
then
see
go down
let's see
Utica
what she
Oil.
says here.
yeah, I think it goes south. And the other option was they had talked to this neighbor, because the water is down here in this neighbor's farmland. And they had said to them, hey, would you be willing to put drain tile in down here and you can connect it to our land and drain into the ditch? I don't know, they have several ideas, but I don't know.
Where's the nearest blue line? Let's ask that question.
Yeah, which way is it
Well,
supposed to go?
What?
Should have pulled it up, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty,
One to go to the state
think there's
lake.
one way over
One way to go to
here.
state lake, one way to go towards Utica, which will end up to the state lake. Either way, it'll end up to
What
the
it
state
should
lake.
really do is head off down east, because they've got a lot more
East to,
So it's,
down the hill.
yeah, go.
Let's see here.
Well, either way, it's going to their property, so.
Take it to the
I bet
east,
it's
yeah.
this one.
Take it,
Section.
but then they gotta cut a
Taking
big
it
hole
across
through
here.
the.
Yeah, I bet it's this one right here.
Yep.
We'll have
So
to
it's,
hold
this
it down
is
so
the
she-
closest blue line to the,
Yep.
and then down here. So they're not very close to any blue lines.
2 miles.
That's in section
21.
Yeah.
You've got yours. I got the little,
There's a blue line here to, about
it's this one right here.
Yeah,
oh,
and see if they would go this way, you'd have to get to the Utica Oil and bring it down to Beaver Creek. Or,
So this is
or,
436, this is a gravel road here,
what is that?
436.
Isn't this is the creek, isn't it? Lake?
Because this is mine,
Yeah, this is yours.
this is where you farm, right here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, here's where the water's from.
Well, no, I think it's this one, I think it's
Oh,
Fuchs's.
Fuchs's.
I
Yeah.
don't think she's talking about this one, I think it's this
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
that's growing.
so,
So the only way would be going down the gravel road to the blue line of,
It would have to run all the way down to those
Past
culverts
your
that come
ground.
into Hicks's property.
Hicks's. New
Yeah,
Hicks's. That's the only way you can get out of there.
yeah. and I
Or,
don't think you
or
can
they can go
this
to,
way.
go over towards Gokins and Terry Manis, or the old, what Gokins just bought and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you know, Terry's down here, you'd have to come into this ground.
And you'd have
Yeah.
the permit to drain it too, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Because that's gonna be.
you would have to have a DNR permit to drain it.
DNR would be tougher than anything else.
DNR's gonna be tougher
It's
than.
wetland, I would think it's.
And then you have to have an NRCS for the wetland too.
Yeah, that one gets
That's
a little
can of
grand.
worms.
Of course, it'd just be the one that's encroaching.
That's kinda what they were
on the
thinking.
property,
There's,
correct?
It's,
in central Jamesville, Ziskoff, there's a lot of closed
They just
basins.
drain the water that encroaches on the property, I assume. So, you can't be talking that much.
Well, there's a lot.
so not a,
the
nothing you
water-
guys can see.
I'd have to
Well,
drive
yeah,
out there
there's a
and
lot
look and
there
see if
about
there's
how much
drainage.
encroaches on their
I don't know if there's
property, what I'm
drainage from there if
talking
you get to
about,
the ditch.
How much
And
actually
that I don't
encroaches
know.
onto their property.
Yeah.
It sounds,
If water gets high enough, it always drains away.
there is, well, I guess I do know a little bit. There is a culvert outside of their place where they would do the line and it goes into the pasture land to the west, which then has the blue line, but
Shake.
it's not very close.
Need help?
And it involves a culvert.
They could talk to their neighbors and see if they could,
Yeah, because they'd go into the Fuchs's pasture that Gokins,
yeah,
Right.
Gokins.
Yes, that's who's next to them. Thank you.
Gokins.
Yes.
That's
To
the
the west.
pasture, and then it'd go
Mhm.
into Anderson's, and then into,
well, it'd be in a blue.
Terry Manis's. No, it wouldn't get to blue line till past Terry Manis's.
No.
If you're heading south,
If you're heading
Well,
west, it
heading
goes-
south, you go down to Hicks's, but what
You're-
she's saying, you'd have to go to the pasture to the west, which
Yeah.
is Gokins, and then it would come back around a whole mile and a half before it gets to the,
It's off
Frank, there's a blue
southeast,
line there
isn't it?
though.
in Gokins pasture?
In section 20, there's a blue line. It's just maybe a quarter of a mile.
yeah, it looks like it's on Gokins' property,
Yeah.
maybe
That's
Mueller's.
probably the way that water runs. It has to go that way to
Goes to
Gokins.
west?
It goes
Yeah, I
straight
think-
west.
I do, I wrote down culvert, and I forgot that she had said that there is a culvert that goes into the Gokins pasture.
Right, yeah, it used to be the
Yeah.
Fuchs ground there, I think Gokins bought.
You know, but certainly getting the authority to drain it would be the,
You mean?
Well, you're just gonna drain the water that encroaches onto the property, I assume, you're
Yeah.
not gonna drain the
but
whole
you
thing.
need the
you know.
authority to do
so.
it, and then they'll give you a limit for what you can drain.
You mean from the DNR?
Corps of Engineers,
Okay.
DENR, NRCS.
All of them.
Any and all?
And they might not get, none of them, the NRCS might not give it because it's a pothole. They call it a pothole.
Grave level.
Yeah.
Because we got those.
You know, if they could get
A lot of work on that one.
easements from the Gokins, I wouldn't have a problem with them, you know, I mean, approving something like that.
So if they get approval from all those other places and then an easement from the Gokins, then they can come here to the Drainage Commission, just one meeting and get.
And basically, they're gonna put a ditch in or actually, we don't permit ditches, but if they're putting a tile line in,
Yeah, they do a non-perforated line in the.
then we give the permit.
Okay.
Because you get to the blue line, as long as there's
But there's a lot
adequate
of
flow
steps.
on the
Yeah.
downstream.
Yeah, there's a lot of steps.
And then,
Especially on this one.
I think once they get past Gokins and get any into Terry Manis's Gokins, basically,
If we're
They
talking
got,
about
they got
the,
NRCS first.
yeah.
yeah.
That's the big
NRCS.
hurdle.
And maybe NRC, yeah. Cause it's a pasture there. Well, there's farm around on the backside.
NRCS is gonna send a mean high water line, and it all depends on what they set.
Yeah.
It's like Blue Dog Lake.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have anything else for us, Jessica?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. 3 more. We'll try to be fast. This one, and I apologize, I should have put this in your packet. It's an admin permit for you guys to review. It's from Craig Hansen on the board, or the commission. He is adding laterals to existing tile and a little bit of new tile. It's all blue lines on his property. So I have his wetland determination, and what he plans on doing. So I can pass that around if you want to look at it. And see if you approve it. This is what he's doing now, here
Yep.
and here. This is gonna be a future project, so you don't have to worry about that one. But,
I should add it to the minutes.
Craig Strait.
It's in the administrative.
What'd you
item.
say?
Oh,
He's on it.
Oh, yeah. And it's all on his, so this
Yeah.
is a true number one.
Yeah, it should.
Admin number one.
What else do you got?
all right, I have, this one is another one, just, is this something you deal with, or who should I take it to? I had a complaint filed, someone added a retaining wall, and the drainage from that retaining wall now goes into this person who's below them, their property, and it's causing issues in their land. So I'm wondering who do they need to go talk to this issue about? Who
This
would?
is out by the lake.
It is. It's Oak Hill Drive. You probably heard.
Surface drainage.
It's surface drainage, 100%.
Is one of these people Karen Dawson?
Yes.
No, but the retaining wall is that.
It's that area.
And I gotta
Yeah.
recuse myself on that.
Okay. So it's the first person in that line. And the retaining wall is not the issue for him. It's the drainage that comes off the land now. It's changed. And so it comes down his street, and I've got a picture so you can kind of see, and he's got pictures too of what's going on.
But it's surface drainage.
All surface drainage. So I
See, the,
told him this might not be a drainage commission issue
I think that's a county commissioner issue.
as the drainage board or as the county commission.
I think it's county commission because the drainage board does not have authority over surface drainage.
That was something approved by planning and zoning, I suppose, actually,
Yeah.
to put that in.
The retaining wall was not permitted. That's a big debate right now, whether we have the authority to do anything about it or not.
It was approved as landscaping. So a building permit was never issued.
Because it was.
Because we don't
part of the
permit for
building
that.
project,
Not
part of the
because he
house.
didn't request one, it's we don't permit for that is
They,
a little bit of a debate.
retaining walls are not listed as requiring building permits in our ordinance. So
Another loophole.
there's a contention whether it's a structure. And structures need building permits, so,
I should have waited.
So, but the thing, the funny part is, the thing, that whole thing is, anytime you go to Menards and buy a block, I need a permit. You know what I'm saying is, you get it a sticky slope.
and that's the controversy is, the decision on this is going to set precedents going forward. So you always have to make sure you do not set the precedents
But I
so
think
strict.
state law, get me wrong, John, if you're draining.
I'm out of
Oh,
this.
yeah, what I'm saying is, state law, if you're draining water and burning the person down the hill or whatever, I think they can go back to the state law part of it.
Yeah, I
Have
mean,
to
we
change
just
the natural
started
flow.
dealing with
You're
some of
changing
these
the
things this year. Otherwise, we were just strictly
tile.
rural
Yeah, and
farmland.
that was the direction I thought was gonna head, was surface drainage is not gonna be a drainage commission issue, so I brought it here. I didn't lump it in with the current issue, cause it's the drainage, it's not the retaining wall, so maybe it's its own thing that needs to go before the commissioners.
Yeah,
Send it back
you
to
know,
planning and
Okay.
zoning.
Commissioner, how about planning and zoning? Wouldn't that be more of a planning and zoning issue?
Should it go to them first?
Cause they're talking about a 10-acre, 5-acre lot.
oh,
No,
Well,
half
this is-
acres.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
talking,
yeah.
it's residential area.
So it's basically a residential, I think that's not,
residential
we're
area.
more drainage for agricultural.
Okay, so I'll take it to the planning and zoning first. Okay, that's good. This one's maybe easy. Nate Hicks, it's Newt Hicks's land, Utica North Township. They have current tile that is 6 inches and they want to expand it to an 8-inch. Is that a admin permit? It's already there, or is that a drainage commission permit?
Is the current tile permitted?
That I don't know. I'd have to
I
look
thought it
at.
The blue line's on their property.
But
I thought it
still,
was
is the
vested
current-
tile.
Yes, I think it's the vested
It's
tile, like,
vested? Okay.
kinda like the Sternhagen's tile, this, all that old.
And the blue line is on their
Blue
property
line's
too.
on their property.
Yeah.
It's
Blue line,
administrative.
then it's
that
administrative.
Yeah, no
Okay.
matter what.
I do have a quick question because Sternhagen brought in that he was tiling the 4-inch, comes up to my land. We were talking about switching it back, his to a 6-inch, and then I'm coming in for a permit to bring the 6-inch into my property. Can Nick change his 4-inch to a 6-inch by administrative, or do we have to start all over?
Before tonight, I would have said change it, but after tonight, we said, well, you know, we should be able to
Because
put
other
restrictor valves on because we have to start worrying about capacity.
Yeah. See, and then Nick's idea is he's gonna maybe put the 4-inch and then just let me put a 6-inch on the other side of the draw for the, it's 400 yards. Or no, it's only 400 feet or so to get to the blue line, and then it comes into my field. It's about-
Is
about
this,
200
what's
rows.
gonna end up on the Utica Road?
No, this is ending up below the gravel pits. It's just right by our place, our big home place, and it's just going down Blue Creek into a dam, which is a blue line, they'll end up going into, down to, Poverty Valley. Below the gravel pits.
I guess I would say that
I'm just asking a question here
Yeah.
because,
I think we start setting precedents if we start.
okay, then I'm gonna bring it anyway to them, so that's what I was just asking. Alright. That's because that's the same thing as New Hicks is going from a 6 to, or 4 to a 6, or 6 to 8.
But he's
He's
got
got
a
his
vested,
own-
vested tile there.
Yeah, but it was a 6.
He's
Originally.
got a blue line on his property.
He's got a blue line, so he's still gotta get a permit.
He's gotta get a
Oh, he's-
permit,
yeah,
but he doesn't
yeah.
have to, technically, it's
Yeah,
administrative,
administrative.
Yeah, yeah.
so,
He's not crossing.
Property either, like
lines
that.
now.
yeah. Okay. Clear as mud?
Yes. Yep. And that's why I rewatch these videos all the time.
I'm sure you learn a lot.
That's how I spend my day. Yeah.
All right.
That's all I've got.
Great.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I guess the time is 8:25. We have a public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to speak? Hearing none, seeing none?
Motion to adjourn?
I would accept that. Second by John and second by Frank. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.